important things to do than address our southern border. Secretary of Department of Homeland Security, Mayorkas, he says the border is secure. Don't buy it for an instant, and I know none of you do. Okay? Folks, we have a crisis on the southern border. They can't deny it. It's all smoke and mirrors. Don't look at it and we'll pretend it doesn't exist. People are starting to worry, and you hear Democrats starting to speak up about it now. Why? Because they know our country is going to be overrun with illegal entries. First step, folks, here's a simple solution. Secure the border.
Leader McConnell. What do you say to Republicans who say this is the same type of operation we go through most years at this time of year? You had Scott Perry, a prominent member of the Freedom Caucus, saying McConnell is going to roll us here with the big spending bill here. Just last week, you were suggesting there might not be enough time to do a short-term bill. Now you're saying there is enough time unless they don't get it done by the 22nd. What do you say?
What I would say is I've been the majority leader and I've been the minority leader. Majority is better. Senator Schumer's in charge of the floor. He determines whether or not we pass individual appropriation bills, and he decides how to process them. So we're on defense. We're dealing with the cards that we were dealt. And what I would say is, given the fact that the Democrats have this presidency, the House, and the Senate, to meet our defense number and to not pay any bonus to the Democrats on the domestic side to achieve the defense number is far and away the best we could do, given the fact that we don't control the floor or the government.
In Senator Sinema's decision, did you reach out to her, encourage her to caucus with Republicans or offer her committee assignments at the aisle?
Look, she and I talk all the time. She has a lot of friends on our side of the aisle, including me. And I think she's decided she's genuinely an independent and is charting her own course, and I wish her well. And we particularly admire her fierce defense of the institution itself. We were on the verge of having the institution literally broken by these people last year. She stood up to that, and I admire her.
Will you support a Republican against her?
Yeah, to follow up on that, will you try to recruit Jeff Ducey?
Yeah, look, I talk to her all the time.
Run against Senator Sinema.
I'm not going to get into the conversations that we've had. We talk all the time. Yeah.
Quick two-part question. First, do you support the Rubio bill to ban TikTok? And secondly, looking ahead to 2024, do you expect to take a more active role in choosing candidates, given what happened in 2022?
Well, looking back at 22, some of you may recall, I never said there was a red wave. I said we had a bunch of close races, and looking at each race separately, I wasn't making that up. We had a bunch of close races. We ended up having a candidate quality time. Anybody remember who mentioned that back in August? Look at Arizona. Look at New Hampshire. And a challenging situation in Georgia as well. We did, by we, I mean the Senate Leadership Fund, did intervene in two primaries, in Alabama and in Missouri. And I do think we had an opportunity to relearn one more time. You have to have quality candidates to win competitive Senate races. We went through this in 2010, 2012, Christine O'Donnell, Sharon Angle, Todd Aiken, Richard Murdoch, and unfortunately revisited that situation in 2022. Our ability to control the primary outcome was quite limited in 22 because of the support of the former president proved to be very decisive in these primaries. So my view was, do the best you can with the cards you're dealt. Hopefully in the next cycle, we'll have quality candidates everywhere and a better outcome.
And the Rubio bill?
Yeah. Yeah. Adult, is this not working? Good, Karen? Yeah. It's on. Yeah, it's on. Yeah.
It's got like half power.
You didn't see me. All right, sorry we're a little late. And let's get right to it. I'm with Senators Durbin and Stabenow. Senator Murray was supposed to be with us, but since we ran late, she had to go somewhere else. So we just had a very productive lunch as we lay out the next few weeks. Negotiations for the year-long Omnibus continue forward. Though we're working tirelessly, we need a bit more time beyond this week to get an Omnibus done, avoid a needless shutdown. Prepared to pass a one-week CR this week and give negotiators more time to finish up before the holidays. An Omnibus remains the best and most responsible option to ensure we have all the resources we need to serve the American people at full capacity like they deserve. And I expect an Omnibus will contain priorities that both sides want, including more funding for Ukraine and the Electoral Count Act, which my colleagues in the Rules Committee have really done a very good job on. And after all the work we've done this year to pass important new bills, a long-term CR could prevent investments. Take, for instance, the PACT Act. It's a great thing. Everyone likes it. Passed with 80-some-odd votes, I think. We need to fund it. You have a CR, it won't be funded, and those veterans will be left out. Okay. So the vast majority of us don't want to see a CR, and there's absolutely no reason for it to happen. That's why the best option for American people is to proceed to an omnibus. On judges, today we hope to confirm Dana Douglas, a distinguished public servant, will serve on the Fifth Circuit. That's covering Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi. If confirmed, Judge Douglas will be the 11th black woman to serve as a circuit court judge. That's a record, far and away, for any single session of Congress. And finally, I'd remiss if I didn't bring up the history that our country will mark today. This afternoon, I will be proudly, happily, my heart full, joining President Biden as he signs the Respect for Marriage Act into law. For many Americans in same-sex marriages or one who wish to marry the person they love, today's a day of relief and joy, but also of history. Few bills have hit home for members quite like this one. Marriage equality is not just the right thing to do for America, it's personal for so many of us and our families. This is the tie I wore to my daughter's wedding to her wife. Trying to not spill anything on it, which I often do, but so far so good. And my daughter and her wife are expecting their first child, my third grandchild next spring. I want them to raise their child with all the love and security that every child deserves. Thanks to the dogged work of many of my colleagues, my grandchild will live in a world that will respect and honor their mother's marriage. And look, nothing about the respect for marriage was inevitable. On the contrary, it took a lot of faith and some risk-taking to get to this point. When I made the choice to delay, I had to rely on the better angels of human nature to say people knew this was right, and if we delayed and didn't just put down a symbolic vote, people would rise to the occasion. And so,
Thanks, Chuck. Federal judge during the Biden administration. setting a new record. 12 more judges than Trump in his first 2 years, and dramatically more than Obama in his first 2 years. You have to go back to the Clinton era to see 2 years more productive for judges. But of course, it was a different story then. Over 100 of the judges approved in the Clinton era were by voice vote. We should be so lucky. But these 97 judges are a step toward rebalancing the court, and we hope that even more will be approved this year. We also have 29 still remaining on the calendar, which we're going to do our level best to help before the end of this session, and I have 8 more ready to be reported from the committee right after the first of the year. We're taking this very seriously. We're going to rebalance the court, not just with diversity, but diversity that counts in life experience, and I think Senator Schumer pointed to that element as well. We are trying at the last minute to come up with some negotiations on avoiding a continuing resolution and moving forward with a omnibus spending bill. The Republicans should be with us. It was the Republicans who in the last campaign talked about defunding the police. Do you know what a CR does? It defunds the police by cutting back in the granting process the money that we want to give them so that they can hire at least 1,500 more police officers nationwide. If they should prevail and end up with a CR, those 1,500 officers will not be hired. The same is true about the crisis at the border. If you want more Border Patrol agents, don't go to a CR. That cuts back in the numbers that we believe we need. It's dramatically wrong, and the same thing is true with veterans assistance. So when it comes to the basic budget, it's a test on the messages of the last campaign from the order at our southern border. If they want to make sure that our veterans are treated in a positive way, stick with us and pass an omnibus and do it quickly.
So, Jen, let me first say it is very exciting to go to the White House today and be a part of this bill signing, and thanks to Senator Schumer and everyone that's been involved. One story I think that may not have yet been fully focused on is the fact when the bill was enrolled in the Senate, normally the Vice President would sign the bill. If not, the President pro tem, Senator Leahy. They both stepped back and offered Senator Tammy Baldwin the capacity to sign and enroll the bill. And I think that was a very meaning thing and an important tribute to her and to everyone who worked so hard. Let me take just a moment, step back. This is the end of the year, and just reemphasize it's been a heck of a 2 years of hard work on behalf of the Democrats in the Senate and the House working with the White House. We know that the American people deserve a government that puts their needs first, and every single day that's what we are doing. Throughout the pandemic and beyond, we work to lower costs for families, to create better paying jobs and build safer communities. That's what all of this work has been about. And we are already now seeing the fruits of that. This CPI, once again, going in the right direction, going down when it's announced today. We focused on lowering costs, standing up to Big Pharma to bring down prescription drug costs, lowering healthcare costs, standing up to Big Oil to focus on less expense at the pump and be able to heat your house and pay energy bills, better paying jobs. And it's amazing, 10.5 million jobs have been created in this last 2 years, more than any time of 2 years of a president, frankly, more than in most of our lifetimes have been created in one time, in one presidency. That's the largest job growth during any president's first 2 years, and one of the reasons that the poverty level fell last year to 7.8%. And then finally, keeping communities safe, people safe, putting vaccines in people's arms, turning COVID around so we can manage it. We know it's still with us, but we're now able to manage it. In addition to the important gun safety reforms and the Bipartisan Safe Communities Act, we also made historic new investments in transforming mental health services. It's about keeping communities safe. We ensured our local police and fire departments were funded, and we passed also the most significant climate reforms in our history. So, unfortunately, meanwhile, MAGA Republicans care only about one thing, their own power. We're going to keep putting people first, and we go into this new year. We're going to build on what we have done to move the economy forward, keep people safe, and lower their costs.
Thank you. We're only going to take a few because we got to get to the White House. Way back there. Vote on that amendment. As you know, Republicans blocked it in the House, even though permitting reform is something that they've always supported in the past, so I hope they'll help us and support it. Yes.
Do you plan on supporting a Democrat in the Arizona Senate race in 2024? Now that's Kristen Sinema is now she's an independent.
I'm focused right now on finishing the lame duck. Yes. Go ahead. Someone says a camera, not a hand. Go ahead.
Can you just talk to us, take us back to the moment you learned of her switch, and why does she get to stay on committees if she is not explicitly caucusing with Democrats?
Senator Sinema asked me to keep her committees, and that keeps the Senate committees functioning in a 51-49 vein, and that's what we want to do. Yes, Bolton.
On the Omnibus, Leader McConnell just said...
I learned the day before.
On the
Yeah.
Omnibus, Leader McConnell just said that negotiators are very close to a deal. Do you expect something today or Wednesday? And are you confident the ECA will in fact be part of that?
Second, I am very optimistic that ECA will be part of it. I think it has the support of all four leaders, and that's very important to get done. We're getting closer on the omnibus. There's still some disagreements. I'm hopeful we can get it done quickly. Last one.
Do you see any tax extenders being added to the omnibus, or are those
Do I see any what?
tax extenders?
Well, we'd like to do some tax things, but our caucus feels very strongly that your child tax credit should be there as long as there are some corporate tax breaks, and so far we don't have agreement from the Republicans. Thank you, everybody.